Hi, and a great big warm welcome to episode 61 of the Ask Zofie podcast. Just laughing to myself because you won't know this if you are just listening, but if you're watching, I'm just going to move to the side and you're going to see, oh, she's moved already. Susie, the cat, is just sat directly behind me. So she's been on TikTok now as well. She's mad for social media, the podcast, my workshops. Those of you who follow me on Instagram will have probably seen pictures of Susie. She loves it. Laffy loves the book Love Notes. She's always cuddling up next to that. Cuddling up to it, however you say it, on my bed normally. But Susie, who I'm going to show you again, there she is, Susie, my guru, is snuck in behind me. I've got a feeling she's going to jump on my lap at some point. Anyway, back to it. I want to extend an extra big warm welcome to you today because, well, two reasons. Firstly, this is the last podcast I'm doing until September. Part of me really doesn't want to take a break, but part of me really knows that, so I'm just double checking I'm recording. For those of you that can see, like, how cool are my nails, by the way? Sorry if you can't see, but they're kind of half glittery gold and then half pink. I'm obsessed with getting pretty nails. And I'm totally, as they say on Love Island, vibing with this week's, or they last normally about 3 weeks, nails. Anyway, gosh, I need to get myself focused. Haven't even got into it yet and I'm all over the place. So this is the last episode that I'm going to do until September. And also, I am talking money mindset today. I cannot wait to share on this topic, to teach on this topic. And I'm doing a masterclass on the 2nd of August, 8 p.m. If you're in my membership, you will get a free spot. Why? Because I want to give as much value as I can to my members. I want to share this content with as many people as I'm able to. And that's why I'm giving it for free to my members. You can join if you're not in my membership. It's £25 for a place. I will put the link actually to sign up in the show notes, or you can just DM me on Instagram, message me on TikTok. Yes, I am now on TikTok. Please follow me there if you're on TikTok. I'd really appreciate your follows. It's just relax me happy. Or you can drop me an email, just info, try to remember my email, info@relaxmehappy.co.uk. But I'm going to share some of the top things that have come through, some of my top kind of shifts and tips on money mindset today, which I am really so fired up about, really excited to share. But before I get into that, like I say, the last podcast for a little while, I am doing my typical behind the scenes. Actually, I think I'm gonna do my pick from Love Notes first. Like, do I do the behind the scenes first or the Love Notes? But I'm gonna do Love Notes first, as is now customary for me. And by the way, I've asked you people, and do you prefer the name Love Notes from God or just a Love Notes? And most of you said Love Notes because the G word freaks people out. I've said this loads of times. You can just like Tipex that out if you don't vibe with it. If you don't like the G word, it works for me. I'm cool with it. But I know it throws a lot of people off. And yeah, you said you prefer Love Notes. So I am actually going to remove the G word from it so that you can call it whatever you want. That Love Notes from your soul, Love Notes from your higher self. Quite a few people have said, for their sins, Love Notes from Zofie. I'm like, you don't want my name on it apart from just at the bottom there. That's plenty. Some of my clients used to say to me, I just imagined your voice in my head. I'm like, geez, man, if that's what you're relying on, God help you. I say that obviously tongue in cheek, but at the same time, I understand that there is a somewhat of a sense of wisdom in that. Anyway, yeah, I'm working on getting the name changed at the moment. So I'm going to pick a quote or a page, a piece from Love Notes. Then I'm going to do my behind the scenes, the last one for a while. Then I'm going to share some of my top tips on money mindset. Cannot wait. Okay, let's see what comes through. Simply, I've got you. Let yourself fall fully into me. Let me love you. I've got you. Let yourself fall fully into me. Let me love you. And this is simple but really powerful. It really speaks to the essence of the divine, which is, I'm here. Like, let me in. And I had a similar quote come up for me in the recent days. I forget when it was. Something about, whenever you're ready, I'm here. And when you can't feel that love, it can feel really frustrating. But ultimately, I think when you allow yourself to lean into believing the truth, that it's never that love isn't being given, it's only ever that we are disallowing it. And it's natural to have that frustrate you, but see if you can transcend beyond that and go, okay, well, I'm going to take this in as the positive message that it is, and take ownership for my piece of the puzzle, for my part that I'm playing here. It's not like, where are you? Where's my stuff? Why is it not coming? It's like, well, what am I doing? And don't let that then come across or lean you into guilt. It's taking ownership and responsibility for your part, but not feeling guilty about it. I've seen this loads, particularly with parents that I've worked with across the years, where I've explained to them about their children's happiness needs and how we can create this environment that I call sets them up for success, or that is conducive to their mental well-being. And when they realize and recognize very commonly that they haven't been doing it quote unquote right, and I do use that term very loosely here, they then go into a self-flagellation and guilt. And it's like, this is the same thing coming in through a different means. There's a vast difference between taking responsibility and ownership and beating up on yourself. The former naturally is really helpful and supportive. The latter is the opposite. Anyway, as per usual, I digress. How's that going, Susie? So she just looks like she's sitting there for the duration. Okay, so before I get into money mindset, I'm going to be super authentic, which I invariably intend and aim to do with whether I'm writing an email for my members, or doing an Instagram live, or here on the podcast, or writing in, as I'm writing in my book at the moment. And I'm always really mindful of setting the tone right, between being authentic about what's going on in my life and my stuff, and also having a sort of a positive slant and take on things, not this toxic positivity. So there is this fine line, I would say, and I'm obsessed with this notion of fine lines, because I feel like we're traversing this fine line so commonly in life, and the challenge is to sort of tread that. I got this wrong before when I was talking about tightrope. Accurately, it's an art. So for me, this fine line, treading this fine line between being authentic and not then coming across as negative or having a negative impact and effect. And so I have something, I shared on this morning in my email to members, called Hashimoto's, which always makes me chuckle. And some of you will recognize it because it's pretty common, but it's an autoimmune disorder. It means that my immune system attacks my thyroid. And I've been on medication for a long time now, and that generally keeps me ticking along with the things that I do to keep myself healthy quite nicely. However, what I've realized is, because I've been under quite a bit of stress recently, a couple of things that I won't go into, not because I don't want to share, but because I just don't want to get too deep on this. I will probably do a separate podcast when I come back in September, but some stressors in my life and not getting quite enough sleep, partly because of those, my medication hasn't been doing the job. It hasn't been able to do the job. And so I've been experiencing the symptoms of hypothyroidism. And so the reason I'm sharing this is because those of you that know how this works, it makes you feel really tired, and like not normal tired, like a real drained and sort of going into exhaustion. those of you who know me know I really don't like to use dramatic language, so I'm really careful when I'm describing this, and I'm really only minimally use words like exhaustion because of the impact they have on us. But I realized that I'd gotten into a place where, because of the stresses and the lack of sleep, my medication wasn't able to do its job properly. And so I'd had those symptoms. And the reason I want to share is that when you're going through something sucky, whether it's a chronic condition or any other kind of illness, particularly something like depression or similar, where you can't necessarily see an end, or when you've got an undiagnosed illness or something like that, but it could be anything that's sucky. One of the things that's been helping me is to recognize and realize that now I don't feel, I'm not fighting fit, I'm not firing on all cylinders, I'm not on top form. How many different ways can I say that? Probably a lot, but I'm going to stop. The cool thing is that I feel okay. I don't feel great, but I feel okay. And so what I know is that when I bounce back, and you always want to make the comeback like bigger and stronger than that kind of knee down moment, it's going to be all the sweeter for the fact that I've been through this time. And of course, the reason I'm sharing this with you is to say the same to you. When you are in any what I call divine compost in life, understand that there is purpose to be mined from this pain. You do have the capacity to bounce back stronger. This is the natural kind of order of things. So remembering this for me, and same for you, of course, has really helped take the edge off, and it will really do the same for you. One of the things I actually enjoy about being unwell is knowing that when I bounce back, I'm going to feel that wonderful feeling of elation, where your health, you appreciate it even more. And this, like I say, is the same with any contrast, any unwanted, any sucky situation, any divine compost. And one of the things that I speak about a lot, one of my favorite practices when things do suck, is to journal on the question, how could this be the best thing to have happened to me, for me? And one of the things for me is that it gives me more compassion. Yet again, it opens me up to more compassion for people who are faced with an ongoing illness and so on and so forth. And really helpful. But I just wanted to share on that. And I'd be interested to know, I might put a poll in my Insta stories, or even on TikTok. I haven't done a TikTok story yet, but I might give it a go, to ask, is it helpful when I'm authentic? Or do you then start thinking, oh no, if Zofie has challenges, what hope is there for me? And she knows all this stuff. My hope, as you know, is to be helpful. But I also really, I can't be inauthentic, but it's treading that line carefully. And so any comments from you or thoughts on that would be really, really helpful for me to take on board and to utilize, to show up and serve you in the best way that I can. For me, it is always about, like I say, being upfront and honest, and allowing unwanted to be there, but not staying in it, and focusing on how I deal with unwanted, and being hopefully an example in respect of that. And the other thing that super helps me whenever I'm going through a challenge is my faith, is my practices. But it's just this knowing, it's kind of like feeling like the suck is held within this grace, and it really takes the edge off. This happens a lot. If someone says, oh, how are things? And I'm like, oh, not so great because of X, Y, or Z. Then they look at me all worried. And I'm like, it's not affecting me in the same way, because it's all held within this love and this grace. And that makes a massive difference. Anyway, I hope that's helpful. Right, enough about me, more about money mindset. Okay, so again, treading this fine line between being authentic and honest and helpful and positive. You may well know that what I'm focused on manifesting at the moment is abundance, is wealth, is a comfortable financial situation. And I'm in this interesting situation where, in the non-physical, or in the 5D, as it's commonly called in the spiritual world, I can feel this abundance and this wealth and the energy and the vibrations of wealth just swirling all around me, and the signs and so on are off the charts. But in my physical, or the 3D, things are not in that situation yet. That's a really, really powerful word to add in there, really powerful word to use. I know what's coming, but at the same time, I've been managing the physical reality, which is the same for all of us all of the time. This is how we effectively manifest. And so I've really been focused on up-leveling my mindset around wealth, working on my energy, doing practical stuff in the physical, like combining those two, the energetic and then the physical world. Always got to be energy taking precedence and priority, but it needs to be both. And so anyway, on this journey, this path that I'm on, and as I say a lot, I feel like that's my thing in life, is that I go through the stuff and I come out and go, oh my God, don't do that. That really sucked. Do this. This is much easier, and so on and so forth. This is what's been going on with money. And because I've been uber focused here recently, I have had some major, really impactful, really helpful shifts relating to this issue of money and wealth. And of course, we all know that it's a big block for so many of us, but it just hit me different. It just hit me with a greater depth, like just how much of a major block this is for so many people. And this is what's made me so passionate and fired up, because I want to be helpful. And if something is a major block for so many and I can help with that, that has the potential to really obviously be massively, for me to be massively of service in respect of it. And so the first thing that came through, and honestly, so much of this, of the mindset work, of the mindset and manifestation work, is about learning to reframe, to flip the script, to make these paradigm shifts so that you're aligned with the perspective of your higher self, of your soul, which is typically vastly different to how the majority of people think about and perceive things, the point of view of the majority of people. And so the first one that came through is this, I was going to say just, but I don't want to use the word just, is this really powerful notion, truth, that money, anything that we deem positive in the physical or material, is simply the love of the divine made manifest. So for me, if I think about what I call God, I know that freaks a lot of you out, the universe, source energy, your higher self, your soul, however you want to think of it, that essence, or the essence of that energy, or that being, or that entity, is deeply and truly and unequivocally, unquestioningly loving. And so it makes sense, therefore, that this being, or this essence, wants the best for you, wants you to have a comfortable life. And we live in this world that is born of the non-physical, but is physical. And money offers us a means to do fun things, to have cool things, to have a certain amount of comfort. And so, of course, the divine is going to want that for you if that's what you want. And of course, the divine is going to use this as a means, that the divine will use any means possible. Like, this is going to sound ridiculous, potentially, but it's the truth. So I'm going to say it anyway. I was watching one of my favorite shows, Virgin River season 4, just came on to Netflix, and I've nearly finished it. So happy about that. And in one of the episodes, there was a girl in it with a chronic illness, and the doctor said, because of the stress you've been under and your lack of sleep, this has overridden your medication. And I knew, this is true for me, that this was the universe, this was God saying, getting the message through to me, this is what's going on with you, Zofie. This is why you feel so really, really tired. And so my point is that the divine, God, the universe, your soul, your higher self, the angels in the sky, whatever you think of it as, will use whatever means to get through to you. Signs, people. I really often hear things in films. I went to watch the Vincent van Gogh exhibit a couple of weeks ago in Bristol, and really powerful things came through to me that I knew were messages from the divine, using that means, that mechanism to talk to me. The universe is talking to you, is giving you feedback and messages and showing you, wanting to show you love all the time. And so for me, it makes perfect logical sense that money and beautiful, desirable material objects will be one of those means. And so I invite you, if it feels good and necessary and helpful to you, to make this shift with me, to start to see that on the one hand, you can just see money as neutral, right? Like the same as you could have a sharp knife that you can use as a weapon, or you can use as a tool. The knife isn't good or bad, evil or not, it's neutral. It depends on how you use it. On the one hand, you can perceive money in this manner, right? You can use money to purchase like arms and do damage. You can use money to donate to charities and do a lot of what we would deem good in the world. You could use your money to help people less fortunate than you, or you could use your money just to save it all away for yourself. Like, it's how you use it. That's one way of perceiving it, which is useful. But you can also just start to see it as a source of, as a form of love, as a means by which the divine shows up and is able to love on you. Now, when that reframe, when that shift came through for me, I knew that this was massive, because one of the things I realized, I was listening to someone's kind of like an energy clearing thing or similar on money. And every time she said money, because I'm extremely sensitive to energy, I could feel this, it felt like shock in my body. And I realized, oh my gosh, I've got this tension around money that's built up because of going through a court case with my ex-husband and the wranglings of that, and being a single parent, and changes I've made in my work, and sort of leaps of faith and risks I've taken have built up this tension around it. And I can't allow in abundance when I have tension pertaining to money. The two are mutually exclusive. They are not compatible states of being. So this shift for me, and it will be the same most likely for you to some degree, to start to see that money is just this source of love. It's just a means of the divine loving on you. If you can start to lean into this, that will really help you to change your energy, your vibration around money. Actually, I haven't written this down, but I do feel Stefan, I never know if it's Stefan or Stephen Speaks, the American relationship coach dude, always says, I feel it in my spirit. So I'm going to say, I feel it in my spirit to share with you that one of my favorite practices that I learned from, I think it's Ken Honda, Japanese financial or money expert, is every time I either receive or spend money, he suggests you say arigato, which is the Japanese for thank you. That's a really useful thing you can start doing as well, because I talk about this in I think it's called abundance meditation in the members area, and I've written a blog post in there on this. If you're in my membership, go check it out, because this will help you. And also the most recent meditation, of course, which is called Magnetize Money, I think. But how we tend to feel thankful when we get money, when we get paid, or we win something, or we get a rebate, but when we have to pay, we don't feel thankful. We feel like, oh no, it's going out, is more going to come? And as you feel this tension when you spend, it misaligns you with your soul, which knows that there's always plenty more where that came from. And this is a subtle but profound way of you blocking the more coming in. So as you can align with the sense of, I feel thankful when it comes in and when it comes out, just like you breathe in, you breathe out. or the waves of the ocean, they come into the shore and then they recede. And you see that there's these natural cycles, and instead lean into, there's always plenty more where that came from. And give thanks when you spend for, whatever it might be, even like your taxes. Most people don't like paying taxes, but reframe that and see that these taxes I'm paying are a reflection of the money that I've earned, and get yourself into a grateful state. This energetically is incredibly, incredibly powerful. I, shortly before I recorded this, paid my gas and electric bill, and I'm on one of the higher tariffs at the moment, and it's not the easiest situation to be in as a single parent with, at the moment, not a high income in my physical, soon to change because I can feel it coming through from the non-physical. But it's easy to feel that it's unfair, just because my last company went bust, why have I got to be on a high rate tariff and it's going up and all this stuff? That's not going to help me. So I got myself into a place where I felt really thankful that I'm on top of it now. I know much more about what I'm paying and how it all works out, and that I'm able to pay it. This is really helpful for you. British Gas don't care if I'm grateful when I'm paying. It makes no difference to them. It makes a massive difference to me, and of course to you when you can do this. Okay, so 2 things. And then the third thing that I want to share is, so in the Money Mindset Masterclass, August 2nd at 8, I'm going to go through the main things that have come through for me. Today, I can't go into all of that. I will share more in it. I'm not going to keep it all to myself and only for those that come to the masterclass, because I want to be helpful. I want to share. But I will go into it in more depth in the masterclass, and then probably come back to it on the podcast and so on in coming months. But one of the major things that also came through, oh my God, so helpful, is that what I realized was, so I've said this before, because of all the crazy ass stuff I've done, like ayahuasca and fasting and A Course in Miracles and all the years of meditation and so on, I'm really able to see now what's going on with the mind, what its game. It's incredibly clear for me to perceive this in myself and others, because it's same old. And the crazy circular reasoning of the ego. And what I realized was, because of the fact that the world we live in, right, we require, typically, money is how we pay for stuff, right? We don't tend to barter, although we can do. We tend to pay for goods and services with cash. That's just the means that we've come up with in this physical world. And so money is really tied to everyday things and to fun experiences, from obviously buying your food and paying for your gas and electric, to your car, holidays, eating out, obviously all those things. So the mind isn't interested in you living this joyful life. Okay, the mind is interested in keeping you small, what it perceives as safe and sane. Okay, and ego doesn't want you to be joyful. It wants you to be all caught up in your head and small, like I say, small and so seeming safe. What a great way to thwart you, to thwart all of us, to get hold of this issue of money, because it is so tied to so much freaking stuff, okay? And so the mind tells us lots of different sucky things, like money doesn't grow on trees, which I'm going to go into deeply in the masterclass, but not today. Like, for example, you need money to be happy, or money will make you happy. All of us probably to some degree have this programmed into us. Some of us might have managed to pretty much rid ourselves of it, or to some degree rid ourselves of it, but it's endemic in the world that we live in, particularly, of course, in the Western world. So we're all going to have that programming in us to some degree. Even though we say things like money doesn't make you happy, la, 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 on some level, the two are really linked and tied together. But then the ego, the mind, also says, very commonly, not everyone has this exact belief, but like I say, it's really common, that people with money are bad or evil. Like this is commonly depicted in the media and films and so on and so forth. So I don't swear on this podcast, but what a head beat, right? What they call in psychology, cognitive dissonance this causes, because you believe, typically most of us to some degree, that you need this thing to feel good. But if you have this thing, you are bad. What do? I want it, but I need it, but like, what a messed up situation. So this is my take on this. Ego has got hold of this issue of money, and there are obviously way more negative beliefs that are prominent and prevalent among us, but this is a key one. Got hold of this issue of money and has taught us, is telling us, you need that to feel good, you need that to be happy, to feel safe and secure, and all these other things. However, if you have it, you're bad. Can you see what a mess this is? So I'm really inviting you to step into an awareness of this and to flip it, to instead say, you don't need money to be happy. Yes, of course, it can help. It can take away certain stresses and strains, 100%. And naturally, it's easier to be happy and content with a roof over your head and clothes on your back and food in the cupboard versus when you have those everyday stresses. Absolutely. And I've had a bit of a taste of some of that more sort of powerfully recently as I navigate through some financial challenges. I understand. But in truth, you don't need money to make you happy. It's not the source of your happiness. And at the same time, you can have lots of money, you can be wealthy, you can be rich, you can be abundant, and a really good person, a really kind person. So we flip it. Instead of I need it to be happy, and if I have it, I'm bad, I don't need it to be happy, and I can have it and be good. Like, oh my goodness, which feels better to you? Obviously, we know which one feels better, right? So I invite you to start to make these shifts in your perspective, and let me know how that lands, how that resonates, your thoughts on it. One of the other things I am going to talk about is this idea that money doesn't grow on trees. Another thing that the ego has come up with, and how we can reframe that. But I really want to show up and serve you and help you on this topic particularly. Obviously, anything mindset, anything manifestation, but on this topic particularly. So if you have any questions you want me to cover, either on Instagram or TikTok for now, or when I come back on the podcast in September, please message me. I am here to help. That is my thing. I am going to take things a bit slower in August to allow my thyroid to settle, my medication to start working again. But I will be here and sort of continuing to work on writing Living in Faith, which I want to get out before the end of the year at some point, all in divine timing. If you want to come to the Money Mindset Masterclass, August 2nd at 8 o'clock, it will be on Zoom. It's probably going to last between an hour and 15 and an hour and a half. I will do an energy clearing, a group energy clearing. I will teach on this, and then I will take you through the magnetized money meditation. It is going to be powerful. Like, I can feel it in my bones. I can feel the power and the significance of these shifts. And I really can't wait to share that with you. If you're in my membership and you want a space, let me know. If you're not in membership and you want to sign up, I will... I don't know if I'll put the link to that or the link to the workshop in the show notes. I can only put one link actually, but you can always find that via my website, just relaxmehappy.co.uk, or via the link in option, my bio on Instagram. I don't know if it's on TikTok yet actually, but I will be back, not next week. I'll be back in September. Don't miss me too much. Remember, you can always go back and listen to older episodes, or just follow along with me on Instagram, because I'll still be showing up there, or TikTok, like I say. And any questions relating to this or anything mindset manifestation, please message them to me and I will very happily answer them when I'm back from September. I hope you have a lovely summer. I hope if you want to join, to see you at the workshop or in my membership, that would be amazing. And from me and Susie, she hasn't come on my lap. She just sat there quietly cleaning herself. Lots of love. Thanks for listening. Have an awesome rest of your day. And I'll be back in however many weeks. It's like 6 or so weeks. I am going, actually, by the way, some of you might know, to Thailand at the end of August, which I can't wait for. So I'll come back from that refreshed and raring to go. Lots of love. Thanks for listening.